Thinking of moving to Australia, the land of adventures, natural wonders, and inspiring open spaces? Are you sure? Here's 14 reasons why you don't want to move to Australia. 14. It's a land of extremes. How hot does it get, and can non-Australians cope with it? In Australia, summer is not the same everywhere. Some cities experience mild summers, while others experience hot and dry or even humid rainy summers. Hence, the seasons can be hot, really hot, or bloody boiling. Oftentimes, it gets so hot in Australia at the height of summer that a tiny spark at the wrong place can turn into a most ravaging wildfire. 13. Low population density. For millions of years, Australia has been relatively isolated from the rest of the planet. Considering the fact that Australia is the sixth largest nation in the world in terms of physical area, its population density is incredibly low. According to the June 2020 estimate, Australia's population density is 2 people per square mile. Comparing that figure to a country like India, which has a population density of 290 people per square mile, or the United States with 22.5 people per square mile, it's easy to conclude that Australia's population is spread out. Driving distances in Australia, you wonder how far Sydney is from Darwin? There are very lonely stretches along the way, with a total distance of 3,900 kilometers and a minimum of 46 hours drive time. With this in mind, you can easily feel isolated in Australia because the country's major cities are spread far apart. If you want to leave your town for a day or even a weekend trip, you may have to think twice. 12. High cost of living. Australia promotes a high quality of life, but it comes with a hefty price tag. An individual moving to the country can expect their monthly cost of living to fall between $560 and $700 US, not including rent. Although certain variables, such as the size of your family, determines and affects your overall cost of living, there's no denying that your expenses will be higher than in most other countries. Keep in mind that the cost of living can get even higher if you're moving to Melbourne or Sydney. 11. Dangerous oceans. You can't beat the experience that you will have when visiting a beach in Australia. Many who have traveled and explored the world say that the best beaches are in this country, and so why do they have swimming pools right next to an ocean? Many of Australia's beaches have rips, powerful currents that can drag a swimmer out to sea. But that's not all there is to know about the beaches, which brings us to our next reason. 10. Deadly animals everywhere. Australia boasts an incredible coastline and spectacular unspoiled beaches. With 85% of Aussies living within 50 kilometers of the coast, they sure love the beach as much as visitors. Unfortunately, as beautiful as it may be, many species of dangerous animals and insects can be found in Australia. Shockingly, 6 of the 10 most deadly animals in the world can be found in Australia. Among the deadliest animals are blue-ringed octopus. They look amazing in a fish tank, but cannot be touched. These ball-sized creatures bite and are highly venomous. Spiders. They're everywhere. Did you know that in New South Wales, the Sydney funnel web spider, the most venomous spider in the world, takes shelter in homes, particularly when the weather is hot? Yes, you don't even have to invite them. Stonefish. Dangerously venomous and fatal to humans, the stonefish is very hard to spot because it usually lies motionless, camouflaged. You probably won't see it before it's too late. Saltwater crocodile. Salties can be found in the ocean, but they're more likely to be in estuaries and, occasionally, freshwater. Now, we could list each snake that is classified as one of Australia's deadliest, but there are just too many. The taipan snake, for example, is the most venomous in the world and is endemic to Australia. The great white shark is a famous predator, but its reputation as a man-eater is awful. Did you know that globally each year, an average of 10 people are fatally bitten by a shark? 9. Walking without shoes. Australians call themselves the people of the sun, and they don't like to wear shoes. Although the beach culture seems to affect most Australians living on the coast, it's not the case for everyone. You'll see people walking barefoot about anywhere in Australia, the streets, the mall, and even some supermarkets. You might raise a few eyebrows if you're always walking with shoes on, especially around the beach, but it's nothing to worry about too much. 8. UV radiation. Did you know that living in Australia means having more than 3,000 hours of sunshine a year? Australia has some of the highest levels of UV radiation in the world. The UV radiation is strong enough to cause sunburn in as little as 11 minutes on a fine summer day. It's important to know that moving to Australia means you have to protect your skin from the sun at all times. Start by investing in a high-quality sunscreen with a high SPF. Wearing big hats, dark glasses, long sleeves, pants, and loose-fitting cotton clothing also provides a good barrier against sun damage. 7. Slow internet. Does Australia have the worst internet? Well, let's find out. Australia prides itself in its natural wonders, flora and fauna. However, the same cannot be said about its internet speeds. According to studies, the country falls behind most other regions with comparable wealth and population. The World Population Review indicates that Australia currently ranks 61st with 56 megabits per second broadband and 72 megabits per second mobile speed. Comparing this figure, Australia ranks lower than smaller countries like Belarus, Jordan, Serbia, and Vietnam in terms of internet speed. What propels Australia's internet is its insistence on using decades-old copper phone lines to provide internet access. This inferior technology is far behind the high-speed fiber technology the world is progressing towards. If anyone asks, does the internet suck in Australia? The answer is most likely yes. 6. Difficult to bring pets. To safeguard the local wildlife, Australia's pet import regulations are complex and very stringently enforced. If you're wondering why, then you're not alone. Australia is a wonderful country for pets. It has many pet-friendly public spaces to enjoy with your furry friend. However, strict biosecurity regulations are in place to protect the local flora and fauna from exotic and introduced diseases. There's a higher chance of your pets spending time in quarantine in Australia, plus it will be costly, not to mention emotional difficulty for your beloved pet and yourself too. If you can't even imagine life without your pets within the quarantine period, then you probably need to think about what's best for you and your pets. 5. The housing market. The housing market in Australia is one of the hottest in the world, climbing at one of the fastest rates of any country since 2008. This country survived the financial crisis without much difficulty, so the economy never really suffered like it did in Europe and the United States. Even if you move to one of the rural areas of the country, you will find that it may take a significant investment to get a down payment ready. 4. Hard to get a mortgage. As we've highlighted in the previous point, Australia is one of the most difficult countries in the world when it comes to obtaining a mortgage for a house. As an immigrant, the standards which are in place for citizens are raised even higher. There are fixed steps that you must follow to obtain a mortgage. Start by seeking approval from the Foreign Investment Review Board. Next is to find a bank that will offer a lending product to a foreign investor, which most of the larger banks in the country will not. Newsflash: upon successful mortgage procurement, expect an interest rate of up to 8%. 3. Hard to acquire a visa. To be eligible for a visa, you are required to pass a medical test. If you have TB, HIV, hepatitis, or AIDS, you'll be denied entry to Australia under the Skilled Worker Visa program. That's not all. You must also be under the age of 45 when you submit your papers for this immigration chance. Due to these criteria, expectant mothers are typically unable to complete their visa application until after the delivery of their child. 2. Difficult work permit. Still on the note of the difficult immigration process, securing a work permit in Australia is a long, complicated process and even requires a character check. There are 5 points of emphasis that a professional will review with you if you decide to take the skilled migration route or become a temporary migrant. The process involves a government official determining if you are of good enough moral character to live in the country. 1. Creditors and bankruptcy. In Australia, if you're unable to pay back more than $5,000 worth of debt, your creditors can force you into bankruptcy. Here's how it's done. During court proceedings, debtors tend to lose numerous assets to pay back the debt they owe. More often than not, these assets include houses, landed properties, antiques, electronics, tax refunds, and money in one's own bank account that exceeds $1,000. Interestingly, while bankruptcy is active, job and income restrictions are placed on the debtor for 3 years. Good luck! That wraps it up. If you enjoyed this video, watch this one next.